Welcome back to the Bridge and Light channel. If you're new here, we say welcome. If you've been here before and are a returning viewer slash subscriber, welcome back. Last time we were here, we talked about friendship and we're talking about how that we're going to see the next C in the kinds of friendships. Last time we talked about the cheerleader. Um, as opposed to what we had planned, I think we're just going to do a little bit of a deviation. We're not going to see the next C as per the kind of friendship. We're just going to do a C as per continue the topic, but I wanted to do a bit more introduction. So that's what we're doing in this episode. But trust me, hang in there. I mean, just stay, don't worry, you'll enjoy yourself. So last time we talked about how we established how everyone does need friends. You need people around you. You need people to survive, whether you want to agree to it or not, whether you are um, outgoing or an introvert, whatever way it is, well, whichever one you are, everybody needs people. We established that, and we established how that everyone has at least, or if you should have at least three friends, being God, and the Holy Spirit. Um, if you're married, your spouse, or your significant other in that sense, and that you should be your own friend. So that's as far as we went, and we talked about how the cheerleader is, one of the four C's of friendship, and we talked about who the cheerleader was. But you already know all that, so we're going to just move into the business of today. So today I wanted to, like I said, in introducing the whole topic a bit more, talk about the fact that we do have what's called the stages of friendship, but this is not necessarily that. But I still thought it might be helpful, it might be useful to somebody to talk about the stages of friendship. That in the stages of friendship we have the stranger, someone you don't know or someone you just know. We have the acquaintance, we have the casual friend, we have the close friend, and then we have an intimate friend. Intimate friend. So who is the acquaintance? I'm not even going to bother describing the stranger. We already know what a stranger is or who a stranger is, I guess. The acquaintance is somebody who maybe that you've just had access to, or who you come in contact with, say maybe in a group setting, somebody who is around. One of the things you just say, somebody who attends your church, somebody you work with, somebody you meet, say where you have lunch and all those kind of things. That's who an acquaintance is. You never really meet with them alone or in those kind of circumstances. That is usually sort of in a group setting or somebody you have some dealings with, but nothing personal. The casual friend is someone that you have some form of commitment to. You may not necessarily have said to the person, oh, we are best buddies, but you have one thing or the other in common, something that brings you together, that you are committed to. You're a bit more comfortable with them than you are with an acquaintance. They're your friends, maybe somebody you have. I don't want to give too many examples, but you know what I mean by casual friend. So a close friend is someone that you spend time with regularly. They are people that you feel comfortable reaching out to them, and you feel comfortable hearing from them, having them reach out to you as well. They are people that you can sort of depend on, that when you're counting, okay, the people in my circle or something like that, they are one of those people. So those are who the close friends are. The intimate friend is someone that you can share anything with, in the sense that you share your life, you're comfortable sharing the intimate details of your life with. You're comfortable sharing, how, I think what will set the intimate friend apart from any other friend is, how you're talking about something, and you find that what you're about to say is TMI, like too much information. You don't have that with your intimate friend, because you're comfortable sharing the personal information of your life with them. One of the differences between an acquaintance and a friend is that an acquaintance is somebody that you still feel the need to not necessarily impress, like you want them to subscribe to your channel, or you want them to like your Instagram page, but you still feel the need to behave yourself in front of them. So that's what an acquaintance is. Whereas a friend, the closer they get, the less conscious you are of those kind of things. you're also comfortable, like I said, sharing your personal details with a friend as opposed to an acquaintance. So I think those are one of the two, let me even say three, that the fact that you're comfortable being your true self in front of a a close friend or an intimate friend as opposed to someone who is merely an acquaintance. So I just wanted to leave that there, just to say that there are stages to friendship, but it's a different thing we're talking about when we're talking about the four C's of friendship, is that what role people play in your life. And why are we talking about all of this? If anybody knows me, I'm very big on the need to define your relationships, the relationships that you have in your life. So, you know, whatever the level is, there's, I feel it's very important to discuss it with them, whichever way possible. It may just be one sentence, it may be a whole conversation, like 1 hour conversation, it may be one day conversation, but it is good to define relationships. And I wanted to talk a bit more on why is it important to do that. So first thing I wanted to say is that many times it helps you to determine what the person, determine what values you have in common, if any. So that maybe I like this person, I think the person is really cool and I'd like them to be my friend. In defining the relationship, you get to ask yourself why. Why do I like, why must they be my friend? What benefit will they be to me? What benefit will I be to them? I think it's important to define relationships for that purpose. And speaking of purpose, it's another thing why people have friends. I think that if you find someone with similar, not necessarily the exact thing you want to do, but that they have similar values and a similar purpose as yours, you want to have those kind of people as friends, and you want to be very, at least, definitive about, I would like to have you as friend, or this is why I'd like to have you as friend. I think that's one of the benefits of defining relationships. I also find that, I don't know if you've heard it said that that you have a friend for a time and then you have some friends for life, and then 20 friends cannot be friends for 20 years, and all of that is, and I think there's also, all of that is to say that you have friends in um for a season, and you must have heard it said that people have friends for a season and you have some friends for a reason. And usually when a friend has elapsed their season, or the reason for which you were friends in the first place, what happens is that that relationship has the tendency to become toxic, that you might be trying to do the right things but it is not the right thing for you, so that would be an issue with that kind of relationship. Also, that in defining relationship, one of the benefits is that you get to understand what the function each of you plays in the other's life, so that whichever friends you have, you get to figure out, how am I supposed to serve you? I truly believe, and I think it's true, that you cannot be the same kind of friend you are to everybody. I think everybody needs different kinds of friends, or you will be a different kind of friend to each of your friends. So if you had a list of 10 friends, for example, you find that you're different, you in approach, in relationship, in communication to each of them, no matter how, like, not that you are less comfortable, with one than the other, but you would see that sometimes your language will change sometimes, because every friend has a role that they are playing, or that they ought to play. But let's start with the roles that they are playing. So in defining your relationship, you can tell what you need to be for that friend, or what that friend needs to be for you. Another advantage of defining relationships is that it helps you to guard your expectation. We've talked about how, like, the kind of roles that people play in our lives, and if you have defined that relationship, if you've talked about it, it helps you to know that this is what I expect you to be, and I will not be offended if you don't do something that I haven't expected, or I will not be upset because it was all in my head. For example, I expected you to do ABC and you've done only A, and I'm like, very upset at it. If you have defined what roles you're playing in one another's life, it helps you to be able to away from the B and C, because in defining that relationship in the first place, you had talked about being A to one another, so that B and C. And another advantage is that when A has been performed by your friend and you were really hoping for B and C, you can have that talk with them to say, I know that we had only been A to one another so far, or that you had only been A to me, but I was hoping you could also consider being B and C. that you can have those conversations comfortably without it being something you're upset about. I thought you were going to do this, I thought you were going to do that, and they're like, why would you think that? Or you'll now feel bad, like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you expected that of me. This kind of things. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's good, so that you can guard your expectations and they can guard their expectations as well. What you're expected to do and what you're expecting them to do to you or for you. And I think the final reason for defining relationships or defining friendships is because you ought to be intentional about your friendships. You ought to be intentional about your relationship, especially the people you qualify as your intimate friends and the people you qualify as your close friends. Your casual friends, maybe not so much. Your acquaintances, I mean, you see them when you see them, you don't see them when you don't see them. Your strangers, you don't necessarily have to see them all the time, but that you need to be dutiful, you need to be intentional about your close and intimate friends. You need to be a bit deliberate about playing the roles you have agreed to play in their lives, out of love, not because you're checking a box, not because you are afraid to upset people, but because it's the right thing to do, essentially, because they deserve that from you. Okay, I think we've come to the end of this video. Let's know what you think about this. Let's know if you recognize, what kind of friends do you have right now? Do you have a lot of casual friends and no close friends? It's fine if you do. Just let us know. Do you have a lot of, are you finding that you have like 10 intimate friends and you're wondering, how come? Just let us know where you are at and where you're going. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. I do not take it for granted. Thank you so much. See you next video.